Let's talk to phobia specialist Christopher Paul Jones. Hello, Christopher.
Hi, how you doing?
So we've got trypophobia, fear of small holes, pogonophobia, the extreme fear of beards, papophobia, this is my personal favourite, the fear of the Pope, oh God, this one's hard, omphalophobia, yeah, that's a fear of belly buttons. Oh, God. This one is arachibutyrophobia, a fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth. Ergophobia, fear of work. I think I got that one. Pentherophobia, fear of your mother-in-law. And phobophobia, fear of phobias. This is all very amusing, isn't it? But, I mean, where do these phobias derive from? How do you end up being terrified of spaghetti?
Right, well, it's when you're young, very often when you're young, you have a negative experience and that triggers the phobia, basically. So your mind is acting like that 4-year-old that was force-fed spaghetti and hated it, or, banged their head and were in pain. They're recovering, they see the spaghetti, and that becomes a link in the brain. And this is like conditioning. So, yeah, the mind is a powerful thing, but when it learns badly, it can make all these irrational fears.
Yeah, they all irrational fears. What we're trying to say is that within people's minds, there is a rationale here. Something happened to them early in life, probably, that triggered a fear of something. So, as you say, maybe Alicia here in the office had spaghetti stuffed into her mouth by an angry parent or something, made to eat something she didn't like, and that stuck. So when we go, oh, it doesn't make any sense, you're terrified of numbers. It does, though. There will be a reason in the personal history of the people who suffer from these things, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, numbers, if you've had any traumatic experience at school, and I think most of us have at some point, you're learning math, you're terrified, you then see the number, that becomes linked to the fear. And, it's a very simple thing, really, when you break it down. As you say, it seems weird on the surface. But the other thing is you're not acting the age you are now, you're acting at the age at which you created it. So if you're 2 years old and you get lost in a department store and, it's for 2 minutes, to that 2-year-old, that's a lifetime.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And your brain is still firing that off. Sorry. Go ahead.
And so Darcy, the producer of my excellent show, oh, she's an excellent producer anyway, she has an extreme fear, when you go swimming or you're in a bath for a long time, she has an extreme fear of, when your fingers wrinkle at the end. I mean, what's that about?
It would be worth a chat with her, actually, but I suspect, again, some bad experience in the past where she was I don't know, I'm speculating.
Sure.
In the bath and saw the fingers and was in a negative state. I mean, that's the other thing to say. If you're in a highly anxious state, say you've had 7 cups of coffee, it can only take a little thing to trigger that mind to suddenly link fear to something that seems irrational.
My phobias I do have a couple, but they're quite standard. I'm pretty terrified of insects and spiders, which is not that uncommon. But when we were discussing this in the office this morning, I suddenly threw out, I said, so what's everyone terrified of? What are you terrified of? Some of the answers that were coming back was so weird, and these are people that you consider to be perfectly normal, upstanding citizens. One of the executives here said that if he sees 3 drains in a row, he has to basically cross to the other side of the road. I mean, what is that about?
Okay, well, it would be interesting to ask him, to go, when did you first notice this and what was going on at the time? And I mean, it possibly linked to superstition or a type of OCD or something like that,
That is borderline OCD, isn't it? Okay, just before you go, Chris, you study this, you're an expert. This is probably not the way to put this, but what are your favourite phobias? A couple of your favourites, the most extraordinary you've come across?
Well, I think the most interesting one was just before Christmas. I had a lady with a fear of tinsel.
Not a good time of year for her then.
Exactly. Well, that was the problem, and it was triggering all these panic attacks.
Yeah.
And basically, it turned out she had been wrapped in it when she was little by her cousins, and it created that fear of being smothered or choking, and the two become linked. You know.
Can you cure people of phobias?
Yeah, it's relatively simple. I mean, the simple way of explaining it is if you love dogs, and one day you get a hand bitten off by a dog, in a second you go from love to hate. And so with enough positive stimulus, you can change that trigger. It's just finding the triggers in the first place, because we're normally not conscious of them.
Yeah, well, I'm just off to feed Alicia some spaghetti, see how she gets on. That should work. Chris, that was great. Thank you very much for your time. Christopher Paul Jones there, phobia specialist.